Hello, I'm James,
Hi, I'm Jimmy,
and welcome to A Job Done Well.
the podcast that helps you improve your performance and enjoyment at work.
Hello, you know what we're talking about today now?
Today, we're going to talk about why capable managers gradually absorb work that just isn't theirs, what it's really costing you and your teams, and how to break the cycle and stop accumulating work without becoming that person, the unhelpful negative one.
I've never been accused of accumulating work, mate.
No, but I bet you've looked at your to-do list and thought some of it actually wasn't your job.
That is very true. That is very true. I was going to make a gag about capable managers. I can't. I find it very good. That's surprising.
Predictable. But you've looked at your to-do list and I bet you found slides that you got to present to someone that don't make any sense, a tsunami of emails that you didn't ask for. You're going to have project meetings that you've been invited to, and somehow you're the bottleneck and you're the problem for all of that.
Very true. And it just keeps going. I mean, if I look at my to-do list today, if I'm honest, I want to finish this call. There's an article I have to write for somebody, which I promised I'd write, and only because I promised I'd write it for them. It's not something that's going to make a damn of difference to me at all. So yeah, it keeps coming.
So that's what we're going to talk about. Why good managers slowly become the most overworked person in an organization. And it's incredibly hard to stop once it starts. Anyhow, James, tell me, apart from your today experience in your post-corporate life, when have you felt like that you were accumulating work that wasn't yours?
Well, interestingly, at this precise moment in time, I'm busy batting off work that isn't mine. I'm involved with a non-profit, and get involved in conversations, and they would love me to be more involved. And there's a pile of work that needs to be done, and nobody's putting their hands up for it. And you can see the guys there are willing me to put my hand up for it. I have to think to myself, well, if I put my hand up for that, I won't be able to do something else. But it is so easy just to get sucked into stuff.
Therein lies one of the problems, James, is it's easy to get sucked in. You feel good about it, but it's what does it stop you from doing?
Oh, true. And once you're sucked in, so it's one thing doing something for somebody, getting sucked in, but then stopping doing something for somebody, that's like reneging on a commitment. So that's a bad thing to do. So yeah, it's like a ratchet. Once you get in, it just ratchets this way up and up and up. It's a little bit more and a little bit more.
It becomes the norm. So your core role might be to run a team, get the performance out of a team, and then you take on all this other stuff around the periphery, and all of a sudden that's not extra, that's part of your core role.
Let me give you another example of a more tangible one. Here at Dim Distance, I was responsible for capacity management for a large contact center organization. And of course, capacity management is very closely linked to the finance budget, particularly for a call center operation, because all your money goes on labor, right? So the number of people you've got really dictates what your budget is. And the finance guys were they're accountants. They don't see it that way. They were just sort of faffing about with the budgeting process. And everybody in operation was getting really irate about this. And I just stuck my hand up and I said, give it me, I'll sort it out. Because actually, budgeting is just a process, right? You do this, you do this, you do this. And we were providing 80% of the data anyway. So it kind of sort of made sense for me to run the budgeting process. Now, I put my hand up for 1 year, and it was a bit of a pain in the ass, but we did it. And of course, next year, James, you do that, don't you?
Yeah, it's your job.
Well, it's the only flipping job. I'm not qualified accountant. Budgeting has nothing to do with me. But I put my hand up for it, and consequently, I was turned out of that brush until I left that organisation.
My couple of examples of this is once the CEO of the organisation asked me to run a project across their UK business, and I felt good. It was absolutely nothing to do with my core role. Wanted me to do it, and it turned out to be an absolute thankless task. Nobody appreciates the fact you're going above and beyond. Nobody appreciates the fact that you're stepping outside of your core role. Nobody appreciates you're trying to help, and you're probably not being paid anything for that. Just all I got was like mountains of absolute shit for months trying to knit together. It was like knitting fog. And the other example I had was in one organization, I was running all of the operations and tech and data functions and stuff like that. Stuff that I've done many, many times. But I've done a good job. Anyhow, they had problems in their marketing and brand space. I can barely spell marketing and brand, James. Anyhow, I was asked to look after those and try and help fix the problems. Now, took them over, helped the team. The team were absolute stars. Gave them the support for them to use their expertise and to fix the problems. There was no appreciation that I'd taken it on and sorted it out. So that's one of the problems I think often occurs, is there's a lack of appreciation for the efforts you do outside your core role at times.
And another reason why we take stuff up is when you feel the pain and somebody else isn't fixing it. So let me give you an example of that. So going back to the same organisation, I was doing this capacity management job, and one of the systems fell over. Right, and this was a fairly core system, and it just screwed us up endlessly. I was just driving thousands of calls into the contact centre. They was driving thousands of calls into the contact centre. They're all bitching at me, and the forecast is wrong, the forecast is wrong. Well, the forecast wasn't bloody wrong at all. It was the fact that this flipping system had fallen over. So guess which muppet stuck his hand up to coordinate the effort to get this system back up and running? I know nothing about IT, absolutely nothing. As far as I was concerned, it was a question of going, switching the damn thing off and switching it back on again. Yeah, because it was causing me pain. I stuck my hand up to fix it. So it's very easy to attract that type of stuff. And, there is a little bit of it plays to your ego when you're doing it. You feel good about yourself. I'm a hero, but it doesn't necessarily help you.
Yeah, but you do have that hero complex, don't you, that plays in. The other one that I'd pull out that happened, well, I say happened to me, that I would definitely been guilty of, was you often end up compensating for your boss's inadequacies. So I used to do this in that
which boss
I
are we
would
talking
surround
about?
myself. No, I was talking about me.
Sorry.
You
were compensating for your boss?
People would compensate for
for
my
your,
inadequacies.
sorry. Oh, no, I remember this well.
Yeah, you would have been one of those people,
absolutely.
James. But I would surround myself with people who were very good at the things that I was less good at. And that meant that I would put on their shoulders quite a lot. So whether it was, I don't know, you as an analyst, James, or people that were good at writing decks, if there was some stuff that I wasn't good at, rather than learn how to be better at some of these things, I'd lean on others. So to this day, my skills on PowerPoint and Excel are poor because I surrounded myself with people who were good at that. And I think that's one of the issues.
To that end, it should be noted to anybody who's listening to this podcast, I am the podcast help desk. 20 minutes ago, I was showing Jimmy how to say bookmarks on his browser tab.
And what great job you did too,
much.
James.
But you can take tips on you.
So we've got lots of examples of where we've been guilty of taking on that extra work outside our core roles and some of the impacts, both positive and negative. But I think if you step back, it just it does creep up on you a little bit.
Yeah, but there are a lot of patterns. I think we touched on one or two of them. But I mean, the classic one is, and both of us have this, right? I'll just do this the once. My budgeting process and your branding process. All of a sudden, because you've done it once and everybody, it's that thing, I need a volunteer to take a step forwards, and you're standing there and everyone else is taking a step backward.
And another pattern, I think, is performance punishment.
Performance punishment.
Yeah. So you perform well and automatically all the work comes to you. It's like, I don't know, as a kid, James, did you ever get asked to do the washing up and you did it really badly in the hope that you never got asked to do it again?
Yes.
It's the same thing. Yeah, I mean, you do something really well and then they keep coming back. Whereas the person who's sitting next to you, who does a shit job, they never ask them to do it. So performance punishments.
Yeah, because you think it's good for you. I remember vividly about 15 years ago, one of the senior guys said to me, "Oh, I always come to you, James, because you're one of the heavy lifters." Oh, heavy lifter? That sounds good. It's right. Woo, right?
It was blowing smoke up your ass, James.
King-size smoke. But it just plays to your ego and you just take stuff on and on and on. But there is a little bit of what's in it for me. I had a boss once a long time ago who took a slightly different attitude towards this. And he got a promotion, and he didn't get a promotion. He got a bigger job, but didn't get any more money for it. So he said to his boss,
Yeah.
who was temple director at the time, he said, what's in this for me? Where's the money? And to which his boss said, oh, well, there's no money, but there's a lot of extra scope. To which Peter said, yeah, but you can't eat scope, can you? Which I think is maybe the way you ought to go about these things. But anyway, more is the pushback later.
And I think also you often do feel, back to my example, you feel pressure from above, and sometimes you want to help your boss out. I mean, we've worked for bosses together, and we were more than happy to help them out because of what we got in return. But sometimes that isn't always the case. You might be getting nothing in return, but you still feel that upward pressure that you've got to deal with the issues that your boss has.
Another pattern is, I think, almost learned behavior about the people around you because they stop trying before coming to you. So 2 examples of this, right? One where I really didn't help myself, and Chris has probably listened to this podcast, was that fair chance. But I remember Chris saying to me, I haven't really done this properly, James, because I knew you'd tell me to do it differently after I showed you to you. Yeah, okay, well, there's a lesson for me. Don't be such a micromanaging prat. But sometimes people won't do the job because they realise you're going to do it anyway. Another example of that,
Yeah.
Another one, and she won't be listening, but my sister-in-law, and I've got 3, right? So that disguised a little bit.
Safety in numbers.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
But whenever there's a family problem or anything like that, she always picks it up. And then she starts telling people what to do. And then because she's telling people what to do and getting a bit irate because we're not doing it to her liking, we all back away because whatever we do is never good enough, right? And then because we always back away, whenever there's the next problem, we feel she's going to pick it up. On you go, pets. And then it just becomes a reinforcing loop. So I think a lot of it is, would you not help ourselves?
Yeah, I think, yes, there's some good things to it, but there's clearly some patterns to it.
Oh, can I give
And
you
it never
another?
starts off.
Oh, I've got another pan.
Yeah.
Do you do this is me? Maybe this is me. But do you ever get involved in this situation and you sit there looking at everybody tossing this flipping discussion around the meeting room, at which point I just get so frustrated. I think, oh, for fuck's sake, give it here. And it's, not helpful, but there's a repeating pattern for you.
Well, it's the old saying, if you want something done, do it yourself. But there is a definite danger to that for sure. And like you say, people become reliant on you either because they know that James will always fix it, or you become the reliable one. Which isn't always a good thing.
The case of my sister-in-law, they're too scared to do anything differently. But what is interesting is none of this that's the bad decision.
It doesn't. You're right, James. But the impact it can have can be positive, but it also equally can be negative. So it has an impact on you. It can bring you extra stress, frustration, annoyance, extra hours. But equally, it can unlock sort of a variety of work. It can make you feel important, valued. So it's quite mixed in terms of how it impacts you.
I've been a lot of jobs I have been given after putting my hand up for something else. So there is a huge upside to it. I think it's quite well. We talk about it a lot, but intentionality, choosing the thing that will help them take you where you want to do, which is not necessarily the same as cherry picking, which is picking up the easy stuff all the time.
But as well as having an impact on you, it can have an impact on your job. So, I mean, we've all worked with people who put all their focus on their projects and neglect their core role. So all of a sudden you're there to manage this team and deliver results. The results are crap, but that's okay because you're contributing really well to project meetings that you've been invited to. But equally, like you said, James, it can lead you to promotion.
Can do.
And then there are the impacts it has on other people. So it does, back to my point about I've never learnt certain things because I never needed to. It can limit people's capability, their chances to learn. It encourages the wrong behaviour. But equally, people can, when you're seen as the reliable one, that can make you quite popular in a quite superficial way. But I think the core is, James, it's about being intentional about how you get that balance between what you're taking on and the benefits and the impacts it's having.
It's a bit of a mixed picture. It needs managing.
So if it has a mixed impact, James, why do you think it's so hard to stop it? Because it is it can be a bit like a drug, all of the extra work, the extra glory, the extra projects?
Well, I think a lot of it is emotional and it links to your self-identity. We want to be seen as the hero, the safe pair of hands. Yeah. So I think from that perspective, it is really difficult to stop because it plays to our own perception of self-worth.
Yeah, it can give you a sense of control. You get invited on projects because they're going to impact your area. When you get on those projects, it feels like you're going to have a say. I don't know, they're putting in a new system or something like that. But it also avoids short-term pain. So to your point, I'll pick up this process, I'll fix this problem, I'll do this piece of work because others won't, or it won't be done well enough or whatever. In the short term, happy days. In the long term, it becomes part of your job. Maybe that's not what you were signing up for. But to your example about running a budget process, year after year after year, that's not what you were signing up for.
And it does, there is this thing about is you feel it's protecting your reputation. And this is different, right? Because we did do a podcast, we talked about not being able to say no. But nobody's actually asking you to do these things. You are sticking your hand up for them. Yeah. So it's just, it makes you feel like you're protecting your reputation.
And ultimately you can feel valued, you feel helpful, you feel important. These are all things that are, core to our DNA.
But I suppose the key question really is a thing to ask yourself is, what am I afraid of? What will actually happen if I do not step in? What is going to happen?
And frequently the answer is nothing.
Yeah.
Anyhow, let's have a discussion about some of the ways you can think about it, some shifts that you can make without becoming a completely different person and alienating absolutely everyone.
Yeah, okay. So I think the key one for me, and we've talked about it before, is just pausing. Right before you pick something up, just sit back and just pause and take the time to think rather than diving in with 2 feet.
Your initial gut reaction will always be to say yes, but the pause can help. I think another thing that will help you is try and make some of the stuff visible, because I think one of the problems that always happens is all of the stuff that you're doing above and beyond, all the project meetings, all of the extra work is often invisible to people until it causes a problem, and then you're addicted and they're addicted and it's hard to get off. So try and make work visible from the outset. Discuss about who should be doing it, why should it sit with you.
Does it need to be done at all?
Have those conversations. Does it need to be done? Do they need to have somebody at every project meeting, or do they just need to have a point of contact that they can come and talk to?
Yeah. Another one for me, I think, is just try to resist the urge to rescue everything. Yeah. And when something comes to you, just sit back and ask what has been done so far, rather than saying we need to do this. It's almost like returning the problem to people.
Just on that rescue point, I think we often do. We love to be a rescuer, don't we? It's like, I want to be the person that fixes. I want to be the person that saves the day. It's back to that hero complex, which in the short term feels really good. It's a big hit of dopamine, but in the long term, it can absolutely demolish your performance.
Another one that occurs to me is that you think you're being helpful, but that's not necessarily the case.
It's the old saying, isn't it, James, about teaching someone to fish.
Yeah, go on.
Rather than just do the job for them, you show them how to do it. So then next time round, they can do it themselves. Or do you just keep doing it yourself every year? Did you have someone from finance in your process that you could teach how to run the process themselves? Or did you just keep running it every year yourself?
Well, and there's an interesting point, right? Because, helping could just as equally mean pissing people off. Because I am sure, with the benefit of hindsight, there were people in finance thinking, what the f*** is he doing? Jumping up and down in our budgeting process. We should be doing that. Yeah. So just being conscious of actually helping and picking stuff up, not everybody's going to thank you for it.
And the example I gave where the CEO had asked me to a project across the UK, nobody wanted the project, right? And by default, nobody wanted me.
Okay.
So all I did was put myself in a position, unwittingly, where I was making myself incredibly unpopular.
I think the other thing I was touched on as well is just think about the opportunity costs, right? For focusing what's really important to you, right? Because if there's a pile of something that's really smelly and brown, right, nobody is going to stop you from cleaning it up, right?
No.
They'll all be very grateful that you cleaned it up, but that does come at an opportunity cost. What could you have been doing instead? So, that will be a key thing for me.
Well, to quote you from a previous episode, James, every yes is a no to something else. Often in this sort of stuff, the no is, are you focusing on your core role? Are you getting a great job out of the team, the unit, the operation you're responsible for?
Have you ever heard of, I can't remember, some American sort of business scientist type, professor type person, but they talk about givers, takers and matchers. About givers, takers and matchers.
I'm intrigued, James, but I'm worried about the avenue this is going down.
Not like that, it's not like that. So the theory is there are three types of people. There are people who always give, so they give of their time. They're, constantly helping others.
Yeah.
There are people who always take. We've met a couple of those as well. They will always just take. But most of us actually aren't givers or takers. What we are we're matchers. So if a giver gives to you, and you'll get that. And if a taker takes from you, you pretty soon get upset about that and start taking that. The theory goes, right, but if you think in the short term, the takers always win because they're taking. But because most people are matchers, if you start taking, very soon you find that people are taking from you, and that's a bit of a zero-sum or worse game. It's the givers who run the risk of suffering if they're always giving because of it's giving. But actually, the trick is to be very selective about where you can help. So let me give you an example. A friend of ours who's on the podcast, Andy Warren, is just a great network. He always knows somebody who can help you. Always, right? What big problem is to find somebody for you. And he's very generous with that. He'll always give you the name of contact. So he's always giving, but that is all he'll give. He won't run the project for you. He won't run you to a spreadsheet. He won't, write you a memo, but he will give you the name of people. Because actually, giving the name of the person is invariably very valuable to the person who hasn't got the name. But to Andy, he knows thousands of people. It's nothing to hear. So just be selective about what you are giving. And of course, get the people matching, give that.
So in this example of getting overloaded and taking on work, the givers are the people who just take the work off you. So you're always saying yes, always. But actually the art I think you're talking about is, take on the work when the cost to you is very low and the return is very high.
So for example, I have some jest about it, but I love playing with numbers. I enjoy analysis, right? Very happy always if somebody's got a bit of a problem with data to have a look at it. Because actually, for me, it's very easy. A, I enjoy it. B, I'm good at it, right? Whereas for people who can't do it, then it's incredibly valuable, right? As opposed to me sticking my hand up to do a project. Well, I can do it, but for God's sake, it sucks the life out of me. So stick your hand at the things that you're good at and you enjoy doing and don't take a lot of effort.
I'm glad you clarified that, James. When you started talking about givers,
takers,
and matchers,
I don't know what you were thinking.
I thought you
This
were...
is obviously a North London thing going on here, isn't it?
No, I thought you were going down a sexual avenue followed by a trendy drink. Apart from how you go about tackling some of these issues practically, I do think the other thing is changing how you think about this, because otherwise you just get in this cycle of I'm taking on work, and you take the burden yourself and you get none of the credit for it. Your core role slips and then all of a sudden you're getting knocked for that. So I think changing how you think about this is important. And just remembering that the job isn't just to be the most useful person. It is to build a team around you and build organizations around you that doesn't need you for everything.
Because if it needs you
it
for
might
everything,
feel good in the short term.
If it needs you for everything, it's going to fail. There's a problem.
So I think shifting that thinking from I'm the core, I'm the hub, I'm the center of everything, to actually I'm here to make an environment that makes these people successful, that kind of flips it on its head a little. Apart from changing how you think about things, I think just thinking about, to your point, the balance, and are you being intentional about what you're taking on. So are you focused on your core job and you're getting value out of the extras that you take on? Are you getting to the right level of support with your team, but they're not becoming dependent on you? So I think it is always being intentional about the balance so that you can get some of those upsides that we mentioned about kind of reputation, promotion, all the rest of it, without the downsides of impacts on performance and impacts on you.
Yeah, and what I'd say, just build on that. I mean, what does good look like, right? Does good look like you doing everything, or does good look like you teaching other people to do it?
Yeah. And certainly when I started out on my career, to me, good looked like me being able to do everyone else's jobs better than them. And then quickly I realized that wasn't sustainable. But then as you go further through your career, now we would have a view that good for us looks like our ability to teach others stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw a similar related point. I came to the points with teams of people where actually the most powerful thing was not to say to people, this is what you need to do, or I will do this, but actually to say just, well, how can I help? Because actually by saying, how can I help, you'll find that there are a lot of people who are all over it like the bad rash anyway, and they don't want your help. They'll say, oh, it's all right, we'll sort it out. Thank you very much.
Yeah, on a similar vein, when you step back and let people get on with it, and like you say, give them the help they need, but when you let them get on with it, does the world actually fall in? I don't know if you remember, there was a time when I was sent away on some exec course and all of the team had to step up and be much more independent and really own their space. Anyhow, when I finished the course and I came back, everyone was like, yeah, don't come back into my space now. You know, we don't need you to step back into it. So I could leave everyone to get on with it. So the fact is, stepping back, everyone did a better job than me with me breathing over their shoulders. So when I came back, I let everyone carry on.
I do remember. It was good.
Yeah.
So go on, let's summarize the dangers of taking on too much work.
So I think it happens to everyone, and it happens by stealth, and it happens from a place of good intentions. You want to be helpful, you want to be important. But often it does get in the way of either you or your team or others delivering on their core role.
Yeah, and just to pile in there, we talked about intentionality, but being really clear in your mind what your core role is and what is important to you. I think it's pretty important.
We discussed some practical and some changes around mindset that can help you manage it and not get sucked into everything. But to your point, it is all about being intentional and getting the value out of work and not just always putting back and always taking on new stuff.
Very good. Just one other point I need to make. If you send this to my sister-in-law, I am going to fucking kill you.
Well, I'll send it to all three
just
of them.
to be on the safe side. Yeah.
Just to be on the safe side.
That's where you get your bases covered.
Exactly.
Lovely.
So hopefully as that episode has kind of resonated with you, give you some food for thought, maybe giving you some ideas for how you can manage your workload slightly differently. And if you see anyone around you struggling with that, pass the podcast on to them. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Super. Speak to you later.
Thanks, James.
We cover a whole host of topics on this podcast,
From purpose to corporate jargon.
but always focused on one thing, getting the job done well.
Easier said than done. So if you've got unhappy customers or employees, bosses or regulators breathing down your neck,
If your backlogs are out of control and your costs are spiraling, and that big IT transformation project that you've been promised just keeps failing to deliver,
we can help. If you need to improve your performance, your team's performance, or your organisation's, get in touch at jimmy@ajobdonewell.com.
or James@jobdonewell.com.